Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Going all right? Yeah, just a little sick, but not too bad.
Uh, yeah, things are going good for me. Uh, I've just been telling people at work that I'm leaving. Yeah, I forget if we mentioned it. I officially signed like my offer, and I actually signed a
Oh,
lease in Washington. Redmond, Washington is the place I'll be moving. Uh,
well, congratulations.
but now I have a lot of flights coming up in the next little while, actually, because in order to switch my visa to the next company, I have to take a flight like back to Canada and then re-enter. Uh,
Uh,
so there's actually quite a number of flights
oh,
that's kind of in a
no.
funny order. It's like basically I have to go to Canada so I can re-enter. Then I have to like kind of soon. Well, I guess there's my last day of work at my current employer, then fly to Canada, re-enter, then pick up the apartment keys in Washington, then come back to SF so I can fly. Pick up my luggage to fly to a vacation in San Diego for a couple of days. Then from San Diego, I come back to SF to like start work and pick up my cat, then fly to Washington with the cat to be at the apartment.
Yeah, that's a that's a lot. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it starts basically on December 2nd. That process
Oh,
starts,
nice.
and then
Coming
by
up.
the end of it, hopefully I'll have a new TN visa, completed a vacation in San Diego, and have a cat in an apartment in Washington.
Nice. So just what, like one more week of work, roughly?
Yeah, another week, and Thanksgiving means that Thursday, Friday is holiday next week.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, big life moves. Congrats. That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Yeah, once everything settles, hopefully I'll find like a nice groove of like working from home and running on trails in the Redmond area. When I was
Yeah.
living there for 2 months before, there was a meetup group online called like Redmond Eastside Game Devs, and that had a interesting group of people in there. There was like some musicians, one guy making like a D&D style book of rules that he was like having an artist like illustrate, and then he was going to publish it. And
Oh,
some
cool.
people working at AAA studios, yeah, would like join that as well, and just they did games as well in their spare time in addition to their main job.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
yeah, I
neat
feel
group.
like there is like a pretty big like game developer
Right.
presence there.
Yeah, there's a huge like Seattle Indies is almost like
Hmm.
too large. It seems like too official, too large. It's like hundreds of people. I never even went to them because I think they meet downtown or something, which is a bit far. Like I'd have to
Yeah.
take a bus. But apparently, like the place I'm going to, I don't know how familiar you are with like the Redmond, Bellevue, Kirkland, like triangle of small cities outside Seattle or
Yeah,
small
not too
towns.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's those three cities have like nice like urban trails that kind of go cut through like woods and stuff connecting them, and so I love that triangle. Like it's like kind of a large triangle outside Seattle. But now I think they've now got running like a rail transit between Redmond and Bellevue. Bellevue is like the more like there's some steel and glass like sort of a small downtown core, and there's like a luxury shopping mall. So Bellevue is kind of
Uh-huh.
like a small town that's got like kind of a downtown urban like presence, and then Redmond is more like two-story buildings and an outdoor mall. But now Redmond and Bellevue are connected by a train, so basically like living in Redmond is nice. The trails are like there's long trails near rivers in Redmond, and then to be able to take a train to Bellevue is cool to get to like a more of a urban area. And then sometime in the next like few years, there'll be a train that goes from Bellevue to Seattle, and that seems like it's approaching like ideal where it's like uh I can live in an apartment like outside Seattle and just be on like nice trails and have access to a train like within a walk from my house that goes to downtown Seattle and to other places. Uh
Nice.
I think hopefully it all like works out. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're gonna increase your running volume with all these opportunities? That's
Yeah, I
something.
would think so. Yeah, cuz maybe I don't have a plan yet to go to like a gym with weights. So maybe I'll just do a lot more like running workouts and get into a
Right.
routine where I just, like run from my apartment in the mornings or evenings. Working from home I think would make like running from the apartment easier, and the place where the apartment is certainly near good trails. So hopefully I'll just get a good schedule going. And
So,
yeah, because there
so
was
you'll be.
one uh or yeah, good.
Yeah, just gonna ask about the work from home situation.
Yeah. Or yeah, the apartment I'm getting has 2 bedrooms, and it's even with like I have a 1 bedroom right now, and the apartment that has 2 bedrooms is $300 cheaper a month in Redmond than the 1 bedroom here. So yeah, I get
Right.
an extra bedroom drop, and then there's like I guess the one like it's sort of it's a small like community of townhomes that they rent as apartments, and I'll have it's actually a 2-floor unit that has 2 bedrooms on the top floor and then like a living room kitchen on the bottom. And then we will have like a downstairs neighbor and a neighbor on both sides, but no upstairs neighbor. And then also that this little community has like an outdoor hot tub as one of their amenities there. So it seems
Cool.
pretty decent. Yeah, we just like we've already signed the lease, but we never like saw the unit or anything. We've just seen like photos and stuff, but we'll pretty much we feel like we'll put up with anything for like the first year,
Uh-huh.
because there's enough good stuff going for it, and maybe we have to change up the apartment in a year's time, but that's not a big deal.
Right.
Yeah, for a while I was nervous that like my TN visa would take a while to get to me, and I wouldn't be able to start work and it would delay things. But now it like they've given me like it's called like a letter of support that, and as a Canadian you can just go to like you have to be in Canada, you can like attempt to cross the border and show them like an employer, has hired me, they have a letter of support, I have my diploma, and if everything lines up, then they just grant you like the TN visa. Uh, so
Hmm.
basically on like December, I'll like fly to Vancouver on December 2nd and then just like attempt to like re-enter and fly to Washington. And that'll be the moment where like I lay out all the documents and they either like let me in or not. And if they don't, then I think that starts like maybe a 2 or 3 week process where the company can like pay like $2,500 to do this thing called like premium processing, where the visa gets granted like by mail, and then once you have those documents, you can just like show them to the border guard and they'll let you through.
Hmm.
So there's like a backup plan in place, but it is. I feel fairly confident about it. There's just like it's sort of like if you get the wrong guard and they ask for the wrong paperwork and you don't have it or something, then. Uh, but I don't know. I have the sense that like if you've got like 90% of the documents, they wouldn't just like make a decision that throws your life out of order. Like, uh, I feel like the border guards would have some liability almost in that situation. Like unless they have a reason to be suspicious and like reject you on some real grounds, then I feel like they're basically upending your life for no reason. So I can't see many of them like just like having a bad day and doing it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, I hope that goes well for
Mm.
you. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a roll of the dice, but it does sound like, yeah, I think you have reason to
Yeah.
go optimistic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now these days now, like everything is so weird that like chaos, I think I'm more comfortable with like just the chaos of everything being the norm. And so I'm not too worried like if the government makes another crazy decision which puts me in a different country and I have to sort things out that way, uh that would just be like par for the course in terms of the weird decisions they make every other day. So
Uh-huh.
uh it's sort of like at this point it's enough like I sort of feel like I I'm lucky to have lived in this like Redmond area for 2 years in the past, and so I sort of know. Like it didn't feel amazing when I was there, but now I kind of see it as like it is kind of an ideal area. There's just a few things, like a few roads that are annoying that you have to ignore, and maybe it gets dark early in the winters. But other than that, it's sort of like this is the way things kind of should be, and there's just like a few minor like for example, every lake in the area is like surrounded by mansions, and there's no like public access to many
Mm.
like obvious bodies of water, and that kind of like it becomes annoying if you're like sort of the more you walk around, you're like, yeah, I mean, there's a lake there, but I never get to see it because the five big bodies of water are just surrounded by giant mansions that are owned by like the same tech people that I currently am, only they got here like 20 years earlier when everybody became like a millionaire and
Yeah.
like built
Yeah.
mansions around a lake. So that was, yeah, I remember that being like annoying in the area. But yeah, I guess all that to say that like just the idea that like working remotely, being a front end developer in React.js and living in an area that has like urban hiking trails connected to like 7-Elevens is essentially like the best. It's sort of like the best, most realistic vision of a perfect life for myself that I can
Yeah.
envision. And so then I don't really feel a need to like live that life. Like if something goes wrong and it all collapses, like visa wise or whatever otherwise, like maybe the employment doesn't work out or something, I feel like I still achieved at least an understanding of what like if I designed a life, what it would be. And but I of course I it like in order to like fully realize that, it has to at least in theory be possible. And then this is, and so I feel like that's what's interesting to me is that I like this is actually the first I feel because I just did school, I did like school like everyone else. I did university. I took like I didn't apply for many jobs. I took like the big tech jobs that were offered to me and then moved where they told me to move and did everything they told me to do. And this is maybe like the first moment in my life where I'm uh like making an employment like an unorthodox employment decision to pursue like a role that appeals to me personally, that I've identified as like this is the kind of programming that I like and I'm going to just go do it even if it means like giving up various perks and taking on a slightly more like smaller unstable company and throwing the visa up in the air a little bit. It feels like a very clear decision like made by me that's like for my personal job satisfaction, hopefully like benefit. And also like it's a fully remote role, but making the decision to like move to this area for the reason that I like living in that area, it all feels like the first time where I've sort of gotten the willpower and the knowledge to just make like a decision that is not not like following the money or the security or whatever, or doing what the institution that I'm a part of says. Like it's just like yeah, it's uncovering like what I personally enjoy and then going after that. And that seems like a significant moment, even if it doesn't work out. It's sort of like I'm glad I did all the steps to like do something for myself to prove that I have like agency instead of
Yeah.
just kind of like
Yeah.
waiting around. Yeah.
Nice. I really like that perspective. Like, yeah, like if you are envisioning a life for yourself and figuring that out and making it having agency or like asserting agency to try to achieve it, then like if it doesn't work out, like that's okay. Like you're like you're like pursuing a dream,
Yeah.
so it's okay. Yeah, I think that's something. Uh,
Yeah. It
yeah,
feels a little
why?
bit uh, like an idea that I really like is like the idea of giving up uh, like material possessions. Like I've never really directly attempted that in any way, but the
Mm,
concept of like giving up all material possessions and everything in order so that like you sort of become pure because you have nothing that can be taken away. And if you can achieve like happiness under that circumstance, like happiness with less, then there's less things that have to go into holding your happiness up. And this feels a little bit akin to that thinking where like I feel like I'm giving up the security and some of the benefits of like a big tech job and moving to basically like another job that's not too distant from that, but uh, like sort of making an unnecessary like unnecessarily giving up some things that I have that could be considered like material possessions or like like securities,
Yeah.
and yeah, and just sort of the decision. It's like I'm proud to have made the decision to do that, but I don't need to, like, I'm not expecting to like receive an equivalent amount of like enjoyment, like, you know, in return. It's sort of like
Mm.
yeah, it's like the purpose of this is uh like almost like practice like prioritizing things in my head and then acting on that priority, and sort of, yeah, giving up the material, like giving up the material goods and stuff that some of that I have that like almost tie me down in some way, like that.
Mm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
giving away uh the materialistic things that like confine me, or that I feel like confine me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really cool idea. Yeah, I feel like there's like I feel like, yeah, there's a lot there, but yeah, one thing, I feel like there's like some, I don't know if this is a real term or not, but it's a term I've heard is like golden handcuffs, where it's
Yeah.
like you sort of like get, yeah, used to having nice things or whatnot. Um,
Yeah, I
and
definitely heard that term before, and I
oh
was
yeah,
thinking about
okay,
that.
it's not
It
super neat.
it was funny, yeah, like the more I became to not like big tech and feel no satisfaction from the work, the more I felt like it does kind of feel like I'm wearing handcuffs. And like it's like, but I could get out of handcuffs, but the golden handcuffs is like it messes with your head, and you're like, well, things are pretty good though. Like I have these gold. Why would I get rid of gold? But they are handcuffs. But then the thing was, after I got like a lower performance rating and that took away like some of my stock and cut my bonus in half and stuff, that was like a moment where all of a sudden like the handcuffs were a bit like were like a lot looser, because it's
Yeah,
like, well, they're not, like they just cut the value of the gold in half, so that makes it easier to like consider throwing these handcuffs away. uh
right.
and then, yeah, I feel then just like a little bit of personal growth, and we did another reorg. It just felt like this is the time where like it's like I actually like asked my employer, like, can I remain on the same team and just go work out of the Google office in Kirkland, and I'd still be going to an office. It just wouldn't be the one that like some of our team goes to. And they said it would be better to like stay with the other people in person in SF. Uh, and so then I briefly looked at like, can I transfer to other teams? And some teams reached out, but I just felt like switching to another team would sort of be like being exposed to new things, but they would still be like big tech things. And at the end of the day, I feel that always comes down to like your job is to like write stuff into this configuration file so that
Uh-huh.
really slow running like tests pass. And if you don't do it fast enough, then the org reorgs, and your job changes anyway, so it doesn't matter. Uh, and
That
then
was a
yeah, so then I just
fantastic description of a big tech job.
but
Yeah.
it's funny how like in 3 years, like that cycle happened like 4 to 5 times. And so by this time it was sort of like, it's like, oh, and then the more you know people, the more times you go to like informal dinners with them. Like we just had like an on-site, so I had a couple dinners with the team, and people start talking, and they talk about like the number of times they've been through like the same cycle and the other teams they've been on, and uh like you can just sort of see like kind of like, oh, like this is the norm. Like everyone kind of just comes up with good sounding ideas and like makes little trinkets and stuff, and then like they'll do like a user study, and just as a result of that user study is coming out, like we'll have like a reorg and different products. And there's never, yeah, it's just like a nothing ever like comes due, like there, It's like the
Yep.
exact length of there's like an institutional memory, there's people rotating, and every time you get to that point where someone is about to realize like like a mistake has been made, or like just complete the loop like starts again. uh and but it's messed up because it's like an extremely profitable loop, and everyone is very talented. But it's like very tricky because everyone is like blinded by their talent. Like they can think of all these sophisticated solutions and create them and realize them and then get executive support and buy-in and funding. And like everything is like perfect, and but then it's like but it's not, it's connected to itself. Like it's
Yeah.
like why are we like it's like we're making self-driving cars, we did it, like they're driving around, but why? Like we know that we don't want cars. Like it's just like it's like
Yeah.
a nationwide delusion that we like. It's like but we just bought like we forgot for a couple of years that this was a nationwide delusion that cars should not exist, and we accidentally like a few smart people got together and built self-driving cars, and so now we're stuck with those for like 40 years. And but it's like and they'll be profitable and everyone will use them, and no and entire generations will be driven around by self-driving cars for their whole life and never question it. And then we'll have like uh some group of like people that are smart in a different way like try to challenge that, and maybe they'll uh succeed in like getting rid of cars before like another room of smart people like invents some kind of flying car, and then we'll be stuck with those for like 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think like yeah, I can't imagine like because I quit like almost 2 years ago my tech job, where I sort of went smaller, where I was like I had a big tech job and then like a I
Mm.
don't know like a startup, medium sized startup, and then it became smaller and then I quit and I was on my own. And I feel like now I'm like I can't imagine going back to sort of like any type of tech job,
Mhm.
mainly because of this like AI. Just like
Yeah.
I don't know, it just seems like a nightmare. Like, yeah, I'm just like I don't want to deal with it. Like, uh, I don't. Yeah, it's like hard for me to say. I don't know. I mean, it's like my partner's like whole area of study is like the sort of externalities around
Mm.
um, AI, but like the my uh, my read on like just like the working environment for software developers is like um I don't know, like I just like hear from friends and stuff that it's yeah, it's just like a lot of AI being pushed on devs to
Yeah.
do like everything. And yeah, I can't speak to it too much, but it just sounds kind of like a nightmare.
Yeah, it is very unsettling. And it's funny like from my perspective, like now that I'm like leaving my current job, and we just had this like for the past week we had like an on-site where some remote members flew in and we did a whole like planning session, and we broke into like these three pillars. And we like my pillar, we're brainstorming idea like based on like loose like user requests or whatever. We were brainstorming like solutions in a certain area, and like a lot of them like the like right at the core moment where it's like how is how is this thing going to technically deliver what it needs to deliver, there's always like the word AI instead of like a clever idea of how to connect systems in a deterministic like reliable way. It's just like well AI will do it. And then it's like but like I know now that like it's not going to. Like people will just keep saying like, "Oh, I have an idea. Like what if you could take a photo of a design and then AI could make it for you?" And it's like you think that at the beginning of next year we're going to make that. And what would that mean for like the world? Like isn't everyone in the world and all companies and 30% of the stock market like dumping money into exactly that, and like it's all just like snake oil. But
Yeah.
we're gonna like us like a team of non-AI researchers is gonna use an LLM to make a tool that converts photos into like working designs that saves like enough time. It's sort of just like it's like
Uh-huh.
yeah, for me it's like, well, clearly no, but then in the back of my mind it's like, but if anyone could, it would be this room of smart people. But also, but then I heard this conversation of some people and they're like it was after we did like all the planning, we have all these like AI ideas. It's like, but why build anything? Like if the promise and what we're being hyped up to think is that AI will do everything better, it's like, why do anything? Like, why not just wait around until the AI gets better and does it? Or they said, why build anything? Because by the time we're done building it, it'll be obsolete because there'll be some AI like brain rot idea that there could be a faster product or a different product. Uh,
Ugh.
but then for me, when I heard that conversation, it's like, well, yeah, one, uh, one, it's really weird because it's like the things they're saying. It's like, well, the secret is AI is not gonna like AI can't do it better, and our product like the only reason our product would be obsolete is if we use AI and we realize that it's obsolete because AI doesn't work. And so like the answer to this conversation is like the products we should build today are the same ones we were building before AI. They're still relevant. We're just not allowed to build them anymore because they're not AI products, so they have no like funding or whatever. Uh, but then in the end, it's like, but we're in a room of like super highly paid big tech people. It doesn't matter what we build or do. Like we just have to say stuff for like 6 months, and then the org is gonna change, or like the priorities, or like we'll have some like a model instead of 3.2 whatever, it'll be 3.3 and it has new capabilities, and let's rethink all the same ideas we have and like dress them up in language. And but the thing is, but it's so annoying that like these people in this room funded by like a monopoly and an ad, like a rigged ad auction, and like forcing self-driving cars on the world and standing on the president's like stage and funding the White House ballroom, these people that are like, it's like these are the people making the money, and they all have like big degrees from like universities, and they all like make things really fast. uh but then it's just like it's weird watching those. Like it almost reminds me of like I watched Oppenheimer recently, and it's like
Mm.
those sure were some smart mathematicians, but like, and they got the job done, but like, and like maybe there's some benefits today about like the nuclear power research that they adjacent to it, but like it didn't go the way they thought, hopefully, or whatever, you know.
To put it lightly. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, it's like a bunch of people being like, what's the point of even building a bomb today? Like AI is going to build a bigger bomb in the future. And it's like, maybe we shouldn't be building a bomb. Like, have you ever thought about it?
Yeah. Yeah, the like, oh, just don't build it is like a such a I feel like a very difficult intervention with at least the tech people that I know. Like, oh, don't build this thing. Like because moral reason. Not because you can't, but because like you shouldn't. It's just like such
Yeah.
a it just doesn't work with like I don't know, like a certain like
Yeah.
mindset. I don't
Yeah,
know
that's a
why.
good thing to point out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could see myself 10, like I'm 35 now. When I was like 25, I I believe I had a lot of these behavioral patterns. Like I thought, like tech can do anything, let's keep going. Uh like there was waves of AI, and I sort of saw AI and I was like, oh yeah, in the future like it'll be something, but we'll have to wait a bit on that. And yeah, the feeling of like everything should be technology, let's integrate all systems and data, and like we can just like sort
Yeah.
of advance everything. And but I feel like very lucky that like when I was 25, I was not like in Silicon Valley in the big tech world. I guess I was in the military at that time,
Yeah.
and uh, I sort of formed, like I became like a fully formed adult before like receiving big amounts of money and being in big tech and being in Silicon Valley or whatever. And so I sort of like I was thinking as I was walking back home today, I was like, are the people like everyone at my office is maybe around is like between 30 and 40. There's like some 20-ish year olds. But I was thinking like, are the other people that are 35 here just like the 25-year-old version of me, only when they were 25, they walked right in the door of a big tech company and got like their whole like as their brain was developing, they were infused with the values of like you can have the VC money for the company if you want, and like we are creating the future and you can do anything here. And the thing
Uh,
to do is just like apply yourself and pull an all-nighter a couple times and you'll create the thing that will debut on the world stage. Uh, and like if I was in that world when I was 25, maybe now when I'm 35, I would still think like, oh, just a bit more, like just a little bit more tech, and then we'll have it. Like we can push it a little bit more. And but I feel lucky to be like have at least 1 foot outside that bubble, and I feel like to have the sense to be like, I can see this for what it is. I need to walk away, which I
right.
feel just feels such. I'm still patting myself on the back for like how healthy that feels. Like even as I say, if
Yeah.
everything like this perfect life that I'm talking about, like if it all falls apart tomorrow, I still will have walked away, and that's the important. That's like the part that I'm happy with is uh, like yeah, it just feels like it's like a casino. It's like you're at a slot machine. You got to walk away. Like it doesn't. You
Mm,
can't put. You can't like whip out a piece of paper and like write this like a complicated physics equation where if you pull it only 100 more times and you get your friends to pull it, then it'll pay out just a bit more and you'll win your money back. It's like no, you just gotta like you've lost everything. Walk away. Don't pull
yeah.
it that one extra free. Even if they give you 10 free pulls after you're bankrupt, maybe you can make a bit of money back. Like just walk away now and be bankrupt, and you can't do better than that. Like you know, it's like a
Nah,
weird
that's
yeah.
such a good yeah, metaphor for it. That's so yeah. Yeah, yeah, I feel like yeah, I, I have yeah, many thoughts. Yeah, I feel like it's just like really interesting to hear like I don't know, like someone you like being sort of I don't know what to say, like radicalized or like uh, techno um like pessimist like
Right.
or like turned to that through like the experience that you've had in the past few years. I feel like yeah, I'm just like reflecting on my own sort of journey and like I think yeah, like 10 years ago for me, I guess yeah, I was like just graduating college, like I was like super techno optimist, like super into
Yeah.
AI. Like yeah, I mean like I yeah, like the college I went to, it was just like super like that was just like everything. And then I yeah worked at Silicon Valley like straight out of college, and I was just like surrounded by it. I like took like AI courses and like worked for a year as like a data scientist person,
Yeah.
and like came to realize like I feel like that was like such a illuminating experience for me where I think at the time I was just like, oh, this is like I hate this, but not like this is bad. Like it's just not for me. But then yeah, I don't know. I think like it is just interesting to think about like maybe like through the lens of AI in particular, like or where I sort of forget that like I was like really into like the tech side of it and the math and the
Yeah,
like
same for me actually.
yeah
Yeah.
like that and that wasn't like that long ago and now I'm just like oh like this whole thing is just like gross and like
Mhm.
I and like not even like super mathematically interesting anymore to me Like I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
like I don't know, like I'm not inspired by. I mean, I stopped reading like AI papers like I don't know, probably a few years ago, but it was just like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like this cottage industry of like researchers being like, oh, we improved on this benchmark by 2% by like adding
Yeah.
attention mechanisms or whatever, and it's like I don't think this like really matters at all, and it's like all fueling something that is so clearly going terribly and like fueling like I don't know, like weapons and surveillance and just like
Yeah.
like stealing art. And it's just like it's going bad. Like maybe like stop doing this, or like yeah, invest in trying to intervene for something better. Like I don't know. I've seen like my partner go through like the same sort of metamorphosis where they were like, oh, there's like a lot of like potential for communities to like use these tools and like um yeah, like it can do harm, but it can also, be beautiful and like create art even. And now like like all of their research is just like like AI is colonialism. Like like
Yeah.
it is like destroying the world. Like there is no redeeming quality. Like and it's like just I don't know, the
That is a
best.
funny.
Yeah.
It's like the analogy is like back in the day before colonialism. They're like, well, let's just go for a hike and see and experience nature and see what we find. And they're like, oh, we've met these other guys in the woods, and I mean, we
Yeah.
made some collaboration of deals with them. And then like fast forward, it's like this is just like just
Yeah.
becomes like ownership of other people.
Yeah, it's totally that. Yeah, it's like, man, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's like
Mm.
it's all tied up in, all the other systems that exist
Yeah,
in the world, but it's not like,
what's
divorced from that, but yeah.
there's an interesting like sometimes I find you can measure like you'll have an obvious thing and everyone can see an obvious thing. But if you add a little bit of nuance, you start losing like 10% of people and then like a little bit more nuance. And by like soon, like with just a little bit of nuance added to something, you'll like 60% of people cannot even see that it's what it is anymore. And the example is like, there's this, like a lot of people, the big argument is like, well, AI is just another tool. And they're like, you wouldn't say that a hammer is bad because it's, you know, a hammer isn't bad. So AI is also a tool and humans use tools. So we can just use AI like any other tool. But I feel like here's the nuance is like every tool, like I would say every tool before AI was like a tool that when you use the tool, you gain skill using that tool, and the tool cannot like the tool doesn't do anything without your skill. So you've raised your skill, and now the tool enables you to do more, and you're better at using the tool. You like the human retains the skill and the value and is in ownership of like the usage of the tool. But then AI is different because it's like a tool that by using it you're doing less, so like you're losing the ability to build skill and your skills are weakening every time you use AI.
Mm.
uh the only similar tool is like a car where it's like before cars everybody walks everywhere and can navigate and is like bumping into each other and communicating, and then it's like isn't a car like a hammer, it just gets a job done. But a car weakens you, like it makes you worse at walking and worse at navigating and inside a metal box so you never meet other people. And then if you scale up like the usage of cars, that doesn't work either, that leads to like a dysfunctional like traffic jammed like society.
Mm.
uh so I don't know how to separate, like I feel like I separate AI out as a unique thing from other tools, but cars are more on the side of AI. uh
Yeah. Yeah, I think about like my
hmm.
brain's not like fully working, but so I can't remember like I don't know the author name and the name of the paper and everything. But there's like some like foundational paper about like um for the like society and technology uh like STS or whatever field that's like basically uh like all technology does have politics, like in the
Mm.
like example being um one example in the paper being like solar power versus nuclear, where like solar power can isn't like power centralizing, like sort of anybody can in theory like
Oh
utilize
yeah.
it, and it can be distributed, and like yeah, it doesn't have to go through like a
Mm.
I don't know, uh, like a centralizing force, like it yeah. Whereas nuclear is like kind of requires more hierarchical and like power centralizing stuff, and like also has like all these negative externalities with like uh, toxic waste and potential for um, you know blowing up or whatever.
Right.
And like I think that it's just like such a foundational thing to sort of like um, that I think like needs to be I don't know known that like oh like tools can afford certain uh like politics or like ways of uh structuring society, like and I think about like the current AI is like well it you know it's like a vast amount of the world's resources being funneled into like the decision making power of a few people like fucking
Mm.
Elon who can, you know, make this AI that whatever. I just saw like some hilarious like thread of it, you know, it praises him like God or whatever. Like it's like okay, like that is a tool that like affords the possibility of that happening, and
Mm.
that being mass disseminated out to billions of people, sort of like um, potentially against their will because they control the the internet, you know, like it's like that's one thing. Whereas like I don't know, like there was like fast AI I thought was like kind of cool, where I forget all these people's names now, but it's like they were working on like okay, like how do we make it so that like there's these small bespoke models that and like anybody can you know
Oh yeah.
use it for like real use cases, and uh, it's like well no one like even when you say AI now, it's like everybody knows what you mean, you know, like it's not that. um, yeah, I don't know. Where it's like that. Yeah, it could also be critique for sure, but like you know, it seems like more like that line of research where it's like it doesn't require um,
Yeah.
these massive data centers or whatever like to function. That's just
Yeah.
like a different affordance.
Yeah, I feel like the all the hype is connected to like the really power hungry like sort of chat GPT capabilities. And so especially if we say we're going to build like models that have less power, smaller models or whatever, they won't like people like it's sort of like we had that already and they weren't capable enough to like excite people, or they did useful things like they transcribed audio or like denoise audio. Like those kind of models are like useful. Uh, but the model that's like hyping everyone up unrealistically is like the really power hungry like ChatGPT like full sentence one, and but then it's like but by very design like it has to be a super heavy like large heavyweight model, and that was I remember as well. Yeah, you mentioned like I ran into that too. Just like at some point, every like the only thing to do in AI was build like a bigger, more expensive model with a bigger training budget. And every time they did that, it got better. and that's all they could think was like they didn't even know why. Like no one
Yeah.
had any computer. Yeah, it was like no computer science at all. It was just like this one's bigger and it's better and it's more expensive, and let's do it again and make a bigger one.
Yeah.
Uh, and so yeah, that's the stuff that I like is like I want to understand like on a low level, and I want to invent uh like I want to invent like the very powerful architecture that is very creative and perhaps mimics like human thinking and is super like and is therefore like low power. I guess human cognition is maybe power hungry, like brain uses a lot of energy or whatever, but uh I'm interested in like back to first principles and then from the ground up design something that is like computer science heavy and quite mathematically interesting. Uh,
Right.
it's not even like as good as the models get. It's not satisfying to just see like a giant, yeah, uh,
Yeah.
giant power hungry
Totally.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That was like their big bet, and like I don't know whenever it was 2019, OpenAI like
Mm.
became because they were like a nonprofit company, and then they were like, actually, we're gonna be this like weird amalgamation of nonprofit and for profit that was basically a for profit company, and they like signed this like massive deal with Microsoft to be able to
Right.
scale, and that was like their big bet was that this is the way to do it, and like they were right in a sense, like that certainly has made them raise all the money in the world, and um, but yeah, it's like it's like man, when this AI bubble crashes, like I don't know, like, the
Yeah,
world
that's
is like
why
already
that's
unstable.
another yeah. Like it feels like no one will escape the crashing of that bubble, but the defense against it is like just give up the nice things that like any nice stuff we feel we have in life, just like practice giving that up so that when the bubble when we're thrown into like the dark ages, we're already prepared mindset wise.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. You're ahead of the curve. Yeah, I gotta get ready.
Yeah, I have an instinct of like I was thinking just now of like it's almost like if someone said, get jump into a car and drive many hours to this location and you'll experience the most amazing like life-changing thing in this location. And even if that's true, I feel like I wouldn't be interested because it's like I would be like I can't accept that I physically need to get in a car and drive somewhere else to be in a certain location to see like to have some kind of experience in another place that changes
Mm,
me. Like I feel like certainly like if my brain has the capability to contain that change and like understand it in a way that my brain would be profoundly changed from, surely that change can be done in a way that doesn't involve like going to that other location and maybe using a car to get there. Like it's
mm,
like certainly I could figure out like I'd be so much more. I'd be like I don't even want the profound experience even even if I was there. I'm much more interested in like reverse engineering and making like uh figuring out how can we get that experience to everyone wherever they are.
mm,
uh and it's like either it's if it's possible, that's what I'm fascinated by, and if it's not possible, then who cares? Like it's still not acceptable to me that there's like a barrier to entry. So
mm,
uh whether maybe I can prove that it's not possible, but either way, it's like if there's people around that do not have access to the like life-changing experience, then I don't consider it, like I devalue it because it's like, well, it can't be the thing because it's only available to some people and that's not good enough. It's not like
mm,
a good enough. It's like it's kind of making things worse because it's separating people. So it's not, even though it's like to the viewer of the experience or whatever, it feels like this profound thing. But if that's not like a shared experience with other people, then it's just sort of lying to the individual and making them more distant from others that can't like access the same thing.
Hmm. That's a really good insight, I feel. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is what got me on my like philosophical line of reasoning to like I proposed then the question. I forget if you're familiar with like Boltzmann brains, but
No.
my understanding of them is that like it's like what if for 1 millisecond like all the like random matter coalesced into a brain, and that brain believed that it was us and it had our whole previous experience. uh so it's essentially like this. To me it's like a thought experiment where it's like what if we are not, what if we were not born and had this life in real time as we thought, but if for just for one time instant matter coalesced in a way to create a brain that
Hmm.
makes us, we are that Boltzmann brain of like 1 instant ago we did not exist, now we exist for this one time instant, and then in the one time instant
Hmm.
forward we won't exist. But for that 1 instant, the arrangement of matter makes us believe we have this whole history and that there's a future and we're moving through time. But the thing is that in the extremely constraining case that that's what we are, that we have zero time to do anything, we just have this one moment where we believe everything is as it is. Uh, we have to derive a way to achieve everything we want to achieve in life, given zero time to do it, and just by the one statement that like for one time instant we're an arrangement of matter that just has this illusionary belief that we have sentience and stuff. That has to be like good enough to allow us to achieve what we want to achieve in life, or because that to me that's like the harshest constraint. uh
Hmm.
and that but that like that then leads me to be like, well, the only way is like, but just by for 1 instant, uh that like us sort of having sentience and anything that entails, like just the sentience, that is like we've already won. As soon as we've become like self-aware, we win. And then anything else, like even in the case, it's like then anything else that happens uh is not, like we've already done what we needed to do or whatever. And so then in the case that we are a living being that continues on forward in time, that's just like bonus stuff. Like we can't, we've already did the thing we need to do, which was just exist, because in the harshest constraint, we can't even prove that we're anything more than just like an instant of existence or whatever. Uh, but that was, yeah, I was pretty fascinated with that for a while, because it's sort of like a way of like, it's like free. It to me, it like frees us, where it's like we did what we needed to do, and now everything else is just extra, and we can sort of just uh, like my aunt, because the next obvious question, I don't want to go on too long, but like the next obvious question is like, why do anything at all? Like if we've already achieved what we need to achieve. And my answer for that was like, we should just like do whatever we want, and it just so happens that whatever we want usually entails like helping other people and treating ourselves well and being like a good citizen. Like most people tend to want to be a good citizen, so just do that. And a few of us are like bad or have things wrong with us, and we deal with that as it comes up. But the majority of people are like good actors, luckily. And
Yeah.
so if you just tell everyone like do what you want, and if they really think about what they want, it's not to steal all the money and like murder or whatever. It's they
Yeah.
want to be more chill, more chill than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting construction. Like the Boltzmann brand thing. That's kind of like it's like I feel like an impossible thing to like actually comprehend because it's like or like just based on like how I experience time, probably how everybody experiences time. I would guess like it's just like impossible to like actually imagine that, but like it is really fascinating and yeah, I don't like the.
Well, I guess
I,
the some analogies are just like if we suffered some brain damage, we may believe false things about our past or future,
yeah,
and so therefore like then it's like right away it's like, well, the arrangement of the brain constructs our past, and we're pretty accurate with our memories, but some of them are fake memories and they get fuzzy. So then it's like, what if that to the extreme or whatever.
Right. Yeah,
And
it's like
yeah, like time, yeah, because it's all, yeah, it's like there's infinite matter and it's over infinite time in the universe. So probabilistically, at some point, this would occur anyways. And
right. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like it's certainly a possibility, and
yeah.
yeah, I think the
But
implications of
I don't like advocate like thinking that is what it really is. But
yeah,
I would just
yeah,
say like yeah, it's more like in the worst case, that's like any philosophy of how to achieve, let's say, enlightenment has to also work under those conditions,
mm,
unless we can prove, you'd have to prove that the Boltzmann brain is not the case if you want to loosen up the conditions or
right.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the base, like because we
Mhm.
can pretty well, that's all we can. It's like the I think therefore I am thing, like in this very instant. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I've been on a real kick of like reading about people's like experiences of time through like I don't know, yeah, all sorts of literature
Mm.
and stuff. Um, because it's yeah, I feel like it's a fascinating subject matter. But what was I
Mm.
gonna say? Yeah, I totally agree on like the uh sort of like as people get more in touch with like what they want, that also like that has like a lot of like liberatory potential. Um, because I think people generally are,
Yeah.
good and just like want the best for themselves and for other people. But it's like when it like doesn't like uh I feel like it like doesn't um fully like when we're like in a situation that's like kind of fucked, like such as now, like
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't get us out of that. Like when it gets to a situation that's like better, maybe like when there's like not people in power that are like already like I don't know their
Yeah.
brain chemistry or whatever is telling them that they want to like I don't know if that'll work for uh, those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say that like I probably wouldn't have like the knowledge and feelings about the value of democracy that I have now if it wasn't for the case that it appears so obvious that we're about to like lose it. I wouldn't have
Yeah,
developed like such a strong affinity and like wouldn't realize what it's actually doing for us if it wasn't slightly taken away. And then I realized like, oh, that's what it's like when you don't have that. And so then that's like it's like worth fighting for, and if we get it back in a big way, it's gonna, like, for us at least, it'll feel like we've gotten something that's valuable because we know what the alternative, we have a light taste for the alternative. And but yeah,
yeah,
I could see other, like, I guess we were kind of born into a world that was pretty democratic and felt like it was going strong in our childhood, and maybe that's kind of contributed to how we lost it, because like there was a whole generation that never, just kind of everything was great, so no need to maintain anything, and then it all kind of in the behind the scenes goes off the rails, and now like not behind the scenes anymore, it's just clearly off the rails or something.
yeah, yeah. I feel like yeah. I heard there was like uh, somebody uh, said to me the other day, and it like sort of struck me to my core. Yeah, someone who's um, born in yeah uh, the Swana region or like was like like history shows this is like what happens with empires is like it's like there's this imperial violence, and then eventually it comes back home, and
Hmm.
this is what happened. I'm like, oh, like was this always bound to happen? Like because of the
Mm,
yeah, I don't know, because
mm,
I wasn't thinking about it in those terms before, but I don't know. Now that's hard to unsee for me. Um, so I don't know, but yeah, I certainly
mm,
uh, agree with the feeling of like, yeah, I haven't experienced, you know,
mm.
something like this in my life. So as have, I don't know, probably most people uh, around our age, born in our circumstances. It's new.
That's here's like an interesting combination of stuff is yeah, kind of like what I took away from what you just said there, which maybe not exactly what you meant, but like maybe like America like externalizing violence to other places, eventually like that violence makes its way back or something in
Yeah,
some
yeah,
sense. And it's sort of interesting that like when we look like AI in its simplest form, I think is just like regression to the mean, uh, or like a
yeah,
regression in a general sense. And then if you look at like the past history where like America was maybe, I guess this is not really true, but like America's kind of like an outlier in terms of freedoms when many other places in the world are like clamped down. So like the mean is like kind of a mostly authoritarian place, and then the outlier is like America's because it's externalizing a lot of like bad stuff. And now we're sort of seeing like a regression to the mean, like America's coming closer to the rest of the world, which it allowed to be kind of messed up or something.
yeah,
Uh, and so it's funny that like everyone's like hyped and excited about regression to the mean, but they don't want like their own little pocket outlier to regress toward the mean. But it's like, what's so wrong with
yeah,
the mean? Like you designed the whole system to be like that's the mean, so we're regressing towards it, just like AI intends or something.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that fully makes sense.
I think that's a very valid interpretation. I think like yeah, the way I have, think about it is like, well, it's kind of like this like supernova time bomb where like it was like okay, it was like I don't know, it was like very like colonial from its inception, that has always like manifest destiny and all that, and wiped out everybody that was here, and like uh,
Right, yeah.
slavery and anti-blackness have just existed from the inception, and then it became the world's empire, and it's like it just like is this expanding supernova that's like you know in its death rattles now, and yeah, I don't know, like
Hmm.
it's interesting because it's like yeah, certainly I think there are, I see the perspective of like plenty of people who are like it provided freedoms and opportunities, and like yeah, a lot of people took refuge here,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's complicated, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a show that I think is particularly good. I've watched a review for the first two episodes and then watched the first episode. Uh, but it's essentially like here's an interesting thing that I was thinking of recently is that like in some sense like a country, like what are they called, like the Borg? It's like a collective consciousness, like every individual becomes like the same organism sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It-
Hive mind
yeah.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
hive minds. Yeah, in a very loose way. Like a nation is a collection of like ideologies and a way of thinking, and certainly like America tries to like export its way of thinking and way of life into other nations and create this like growing size of uniformity. And like also with religions we see that like religions try to like they almost want to
Yeah.
create like as close to a thing of a hive mind as they can. Everyone's operating the same way. And also, like in the show, the main character is like a cheesy romance author that doesn't see the value in their own books, but they put them out, and a lot of people like it. And so in the first episode, you see this like cheesy romance author at like a book signing, and there's like a whole crowd, and it really shows you like one individual can export like in writing like an ideology or a way of thinking or a fictional world, and many different minds will start to dress like they'll dress like the characters, they'll love the book, they'll get immersed in the world, they believe like they have common traits with other people in the cult of personality essentially.
Yeah.
And like yeah, I guess like a cult is a thing, like a following is a thing, you know, influencers are a thing. And so that's like the opening scene of the show is like someone gathering like a group of people together that think and act the same way, and they're kind of disgusted by their own work, but they do it because it sells, and that's kind of the impression you get. uh, but then also in this first episode they receive a transmission from what is clearly like an alien society, and they reverse engineer the transmission, which causes like something like a pandemic, but in a very intriguing way. Uh, and I think this is like an excellent parallel that the show I believe is making between because then the main character who is the author is not affected by the pandemic in the same way, and I have like a whole theory about why that is. And but I can see it's like this abstract show about that kind of. I don't want to like get in too many deals or spoil anything, but like the show is about that in a direct way. But what I love is sometimes I'm watching a show like that and I just sort of think like, yeah, like a, you know, a democracy where everyone is kind of just cooperating and acting in the same way is kind of like this peaceful hive mind where everyone helps everyone and works toward common goal. But if you get like a single authoritarian actor, they can kind of shape everyone and exert their will. And you know that person has a strong view about the way things should be and can kind of dominate. And,
Yeah.
but then you look at both and you're sort of like, but you know, it's like, should I be an individual with a strong willpower and trying to convince others to see it my way, or should I be a single agent in the collective operating in the common good with no real individual willpower? And it's
Yeah.
sort of like, it's like, yeah, I mean, which one is the virus and which one should be fought against? And is one of them unhappy or happier? Or like, how can you even measure happiness looking at those two things? Uh, but yeah, this show is called Pluribus and it's on Apple TV.
Oh,
Uh,
nice. I've heard,
yeah,
yeah,
and
I've just seen that
yeah,
some people like it. I didn't know anything about it, but
yeah,
I'll check that out. Yeah, it's like the paradox of
mm,
tolerance thing. Like, I don't know like what philosophers like have come
mm.
up with around that one, but like reminds me of that. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't know. Have you read this book or heard of the author Ursula Le Guin?
I
Like
don't think so.
she's like a pretty famous uh, sci-fi author. Like um, I think I've only read this one of her book, um, and I'm blanking on the name, but oh, The Dispossessed. Um, but yeah, it's a good book. It's like I feel like it's like kind of old, but it's like real. It's like imagining like a I don't know what we would call it, like maybe like anarchist society of like yeah these people that like off go to the moon basically. Um, but it's like somewhat far future. Yeah, it's like in another solar system or whatever. But there's like a core conflict um, amongst the people on this moon, like sort of near the end, where like some people are like, yeah, like we're actually like becoming too much of a hive mind, and like every
Mm,
it's like we all work for this collective, and like uh, we have this like centralized planning around like jobs people go to, and like there's also all these good things where like no one needs to work to live. Like people in theory have choice and like will be provided for, even though they don't have a ton of resources. But then like there's like these, I don't know, this band of somewhat misfits that are like, even though like this is this choice, like no one's actually doing it. So we're just gonna like sort of break off and like make these like plays and do this like weird science experiments and stuff, and like push the limits of it, or like basically like make sure that like the society is like operating how it's intended, where like people can have freedom of expression, and then that runs. There's some people that are like, oh, you're not working for the collective anymore, and like, yeah, I that's such like an interesting. I don't know. It's like individual
Yeah.
freedoms and all that. Like interesting, like little dialectic, but and yeah, I really like it because it's like I feel like she tries to be fair, where like she clearly I think is anti-capitalist in some sense, but she's like, okay, like let me like really imagine what this society would be like, and it's like not all good, but it's
Right.
like maybe better, like, or at least, yeah, I think it's open to interpretation, but to me it's like, oh, I would like to live on this moon rather than the other place, like in this story. So I don't know. Good
Yeah,
book.
these are cool. Yeah, this is such a yeah, there's interesting spaces like this of ideas that, and then yeah, it's cool to hear about other books and stuff that authors have explored these things. Cause yeah, I'll probably pick that up because I want to expand my like understanding of prior art in this like realm. It feels like
Uh,
it just feels like in this time of like AI being so tricky and mischievous and so good at tricking people, and like people are confused if technology is good or bad. It just feels like humans have to evolve their ability to assert like their own preferences, like get in touch with what is good for them and pursue it with like new language and a
mhm.
like a newly renewed ability in that sense, or else so easily like everything is just ready to co-opt us and extract
Yeah,
from us. And yeah, and it's very
gosh.
everything is
Yeah.
it's like yeah, it's like stuff at this point, stuff is like there is no distinguishing, like it, we can imagine a point where it is like what's the difference between a human produced thing and a machine produced thing? Like maybe there's no discernible difference. We have to still have an opinion about what is good for us and what work should be done and what shouldn't, and what is like almost like defining what we want a human to be in some way. Like we to be like ready for that.
Yeah.
uh but it's confusing because it's like, yeah, it's just like how do like what if we were just getting everything we want all the time? How do you frame that as a prison and escape it? And what does that mean to escape? Do you get not what you want all the time? That would be the only the like the thing to escape would be your needs being fulfilled as you have them. And we'd almost be trying to get back to a place where we have needs that don't get immediately fulfilled. And that does seem worse, but I believe it's not. And like there's an argument to be made that we need to figure
Yeah.
out how to like use language to convince people like you want pain and you want things that you can't have to exist, and that has some kind of effect on your brain that's going to be useful when
Yeah.
you're older.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I also think it's like somewhat far away. Like I feel like
Mm,
I don't know, like I feel like for yeah, this is just my own read on the like
mm,
the the consciousness of, I don't know, or political consciousness of the majority is like uh that they because I think there is a construction where it's like, okay, you'll get everything that you want and need, like at the expense of some other people. And like
That's
that's a
definitely
really
true.
tough one. That's like a tough
Yeah.
one to like, I don't know, combat. Because if that's true, then it's like really just a moral argument of like you shouldn't do that, you know?
I
But I
guess
don't
though,
think,
like yeah, like maybe in the past, those people who have less are more visible. Like they're around, they're the servants in our houses or something. But now we've gotten so good at hiding those people that you can live your entire life not knowing that there's a giant body of excluded people serving us, and you can't even find out about that unless you dig. And that's what's a bit scary. Is like
yeah,
you really have to like search and dig and go behind the curtains, and people resist you doing that just to discover, like, you know, like professional journalists are required to find the
right.
people being exploited, and then you have to listen to this one journalist and they have to like grow the story, or else we never even know like what we're standing on or something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's like that sort of obfuscation is like is the way that sort of like we aren't horrified at like I don't know like prison conditions
Mm.
and like uh,
Yeah.
slavery in the Congo. You know, that's like fueling all of the world's lithium and stuff. Like it's because we it's obfuscated, but like I also think like and that's how it just keeps going on for so long. But my feeling is like quality of life is and will continue to get worse for like almost everybody. So like it's like
Yeah.
almost an easier argument. Like it's like no, this is also in your self-interest. Like to
Yeah.
sort of change this arrangement of power. Like because it's yeah, I feel like the I don't know the billionaire or whatever, like the top of the top are like overreaching in their like greed at this moment. Like people are just like getting upset, um, and that sort of uh, requires less moral persuasion.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I guess the work that I've done on my min-max game is I've written now all the lyrics. It lasts about 4 minutes. So I have a hip hop song that's like 4 minutes. I need to like
Oh,
record
nice.
it. Yeah. It's funny. I think it's good. I think it's good. A lot of the verses, maybe I'll drop some or modify some, but I'm pretty happy with what it is. And then I need to build the 2D environment. Uh, and the 3D environment. I'll just probably try to do those in a minimal way, and just
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like I need to inject some narrative into the game that sort of shows people what it's going to be. Like, cuz when I get to the end and I play the song, I would like that to be sort of people be prepared, like, but somehow like get them into the mindset of like when the song started suddenly kind of starts playing or whatever, they they're primed to just be like, this feels right, instead of like, isn't it weird there's like a 4 minute song at the end of
Sometimes
the
yeah, yeah, 4 minutes. Yeah, no, I think it'll be really cool. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I was hoping I would have started by now, but yeah, I just got back from a lengthy. I was in Portugal, then Norway, and then I was
Well,
sick. So yeah, not a lot of
yeah, I
time.
never asked for many details, but that sounds like a cool trip. But I
Yeah,
guess,
it was good.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah. We could talk more. Yeah, offline or next time if you want. Yeah. Oh, talked for a long time.
Yeah, you had mentioned wanting to do a bit less, so I
Yeah.
feel bad about going long.
Yeah, it's a nice conversation. Yeah, I was just so worried about my throat hurting, but it's been
Oh, yeah.
fine. So all good. Mm.
Yeah, well, I'll be around. Or yeah, you had a schedule. Did
Oh
you say,
yeah.
yeah, you might be gone for, yeah, but we can coordinate, I guess. And whenever we talk
Yeah,
next is good.
yeah. I think it's like 50-50 about whether I'll be um, available next week. So I'll let you know. Probably
Yeah.
like this weekend.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sweet. Well, thanks for talking. Have a
Yeah,
good
thanks. You too. Bye.
one.